Hello, this is Lolly. I am back today with one of the little golden books. I have been asked if I would show how I was turning these into journals. And obviously there's different ways to do it. Everybody has their own way. What I do when I go to a thrift store, I just kind of casually flip through to make sure there's no markings in. I mean, it's okay that they're a little worn. And then I need to cut the spine off. And I'm looking for how much room I have. So lay a metal ruler right there. I'm going to go right in the indent right here. Actually, what I should do is get it straight, Just take your craft blade. Make sure you're using a sharp one. Hold on, I'm trying to line it up. I'm going to line what I want to do with this right there. And then I'm going to turn this so I can come at it at a better angle for me. You just take your craft blade and you keep, I'm not using excessive pressure. I'm pushing down hard with this hand so my ruler doesn't slide. But with your craft blade, all you're doing is just hitting it several times until it goes all the way through. And so that's it. Okay, now I'm going to be using the cinch to be putting holes through all of this, but I always like to add extra pages. So what I need to do is measure how big I need these pages to be. I'm using this Victor Easy Read rule. It's exactly 6 wide by, it's not quite 8 inches. It's 7 7/8. So I'm going to write myself a little note here. So I said 7 7/8 tall. I usually do this way so I know what direction. And I said it was 6 this way. Okay, so I can cut cardstock. I can gather pretty envelopes. I like the fact that with a lot of these like cartoon-based books, the colors are pretty bright. So I can use bright colors of papers to go in there as well. And I always like to add some extra images that might go along with the theme. Well, I didn't have anything, but I found another book at a thrift store that could be used. I could fussy cut him out and he would fit in there just perfectly. So I will do that. And think of any other. That's really cute too. The shadow would be a cute thing to fussy cut. He would be hard, I mean, because he's split in half, but you could put him between the 2 parts of the book. That would be cute too. But I like the shadow. And him there, that's pretty cool. So any little images, these are all rather on the large side, but you know, if I see something that I want, I could also add Tinkerbell. I do have some Tinkerbell images too that I could put in here. Okay, so I'm going to fussy cut this. I'm using the Cutter Bee. And I think that this Peter Pan here would be also another good one to cut out. I'm not sure if I would fussy cut that. It looks pretty intense, but I was thinking I could leave a white border. And this would look really good on a, like a colored page. There's a little Tinkerbell there, but I'm not really impressed. Okay, so let's get this off of here. Now someone gifted me these, and these are chipboard Tinkerbells. Very cute. I think we're going to find some things in here that we can put in there. I'm just going through my stash now. I also have this calendar, which These are pretty big, but I think I might be able to add, I'd have to cover up the back side because Sweet Pixie, Tink. Now, let me compare this to a page here. You can see how much I would get in there. It wouldn't be the whole thing. Although she is pretty cute right there. That would be pretty good to get her in there. But like I said, she would have to be backed up onto something else because the back side is just this calendar. These ones would be good too. These little ones could make little pockets. And I'm thinking even this might be good for a pocket or something. It was what the chipboard pieces came in. I could cover this up. That would be really cute. Let me trim that down. And then all I have to do is cover this part up, which I could actually just turn around and put the grass on there if I wanted, but we'll find something else to do with that. Okay, and I'm taking some 8.5 by 11 sheets of cardstock. This is the shape of it. I trimmed it down this way, so instead of 8 inches high, it was only 7 7/8. And then I cut these into 5.5 inch ones instead of 6, so they're a little shorter than the rest of the pages in the book. But that way I could get 2 out of each sheet, and we'll pick some more paper. And then, oops, I took my printer paper, and I have cut 7 7/8 by 6 to make a few sheets of those. And I have a few ready-made envelopes. This is a nice big size. And there's a green one because I like the green. And then this is something, it's an American Girl set from a stationery set that I got at a thrift store. And a couple of pieces of vellum. These both have patterns to them. And then some random cardstock I had lying around. It's only single-sided, but I thought this might be a good one to put on the back of this to give that stability. I noticed that I do have that hole there. I'm noticing, if you can see, the calendar is actually showing through. Sometimes if you put that on black cardstock, you won't see the calendar through it. So let me see if that's going to be the case. Yes, it takes away the calendar lines from their side. So we're going to have to go with black. All right, so that's cut. That's going to go together. I'll glue that. I'll probably use a glue stick on that. Okay, or a tape runner. I'm not sure which one yet. Let's see what else I have. And then I have this piece of paper. It's an 8.5 by 11, but I cut the 2 inches off the side to make it 6 inches. And then now it's 11 inches, but I want to score this at 7 7/8. And so that is going to be a pocket. And some more random scrapbook paper I found. It's just paperweight. And I cut those 5.5 so I can get 2 on one. I just think the colors will kind of go with all this. And maybe I could bring in some pale yellow. Okay, so we've got that. So all in all, I've got 4, 5, 6. This is going to count as 1, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 pages plus all these that I cut out. Two, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's 10 of those, and I could always do more white. Plenty of room for that. And these envelopes. So if you put it all together, you get a feel for how thick the book is going to be. And it could use some more thickness, I think. So I'm going to play around some more. Oh, and this as well. Play around some more. And from a recent junk journal I made, I had leftover graph papers, and so I'm going to put them in there, holes and all, and that'll give me some more pages. And another thing I can do, remember how I have scraps here and there, and this one is 1, 2, 3, this is 5 inches across. If I wanted to add an extra inch, or at least a little more than what I have, I can add a border on that. And let me cut this down to size. So all I have to do is score this right down the center. This is 2.5, so 1 3/4. No, excuse me. Whew, 2.5, so it's 1 1/4 would be the middle. I can line this all up like that and glue that down if I want that to be the same size as my other papers. So what we could do, I'm going to put this here to hold that down for me. And I see I barely have any room to tape that on, glue that on, so I have to be particular here. So what I'm doing is I'm lining up this yellow with the line right here. Not quite getting it perfect. Okay. Now all I have to do is flip it over and glue this side. Actually, what I can do now is glue the whole thing. And the interesting thing about flipping this over is that now I have a more interesting look from this side as well, whereas before it was just this solid white. Now I have something interesting going on there, and I've used the word interesting several times. Okay. Okay, we're filling up, and I cut this also from my scraps, and it's like green splatters on another page. And I have another one of these that I'm going to do the pocket on. This color kind of reminds me of some of like Tinkerbell's fairy dust, so I thought I would get that in there. And again, we are scoring at 7 7/8. That's feeling pretty good. I might want to add a few more blank pages. It depends on who you're doing this for. If it's someone that's going to do a lot of writing, they might need more blank pages. All right, so I'm adding 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pages. All right, so that gives us a nice chunky book here. Especially by the time I embellish, things will get a little chunky in there. Now this one particular one is not for sale. My daughter is a Peter Pan fan, and when she she was with me when I bought this, and she said, if you are making a craft out of that, it had better be for me. So I'm making this for her. So what we're going to do next is to punch our holes with the cinch machine. Now I always make a couple of extra sheets that are the same height as my book. They don't have to be the same width, and the reason is I play around until I get my my holes punched where I want them. So when we release this is the square hole one, which they have contracted with Heidi Swap now. She makes the square hole ones. Okay, and I need to decide, do I want all 12 of these holes in there? And one thing you can do is fold your paper in half. This is your test paper, remember, not your real journal. And that way, there is a line under here that you can't see on the video, but it says center. And I could center this under there, especially if I write a little line here so I can see where I'm going. Okay. And that tells me where this is going to be centered. And then I can just back this up one more notch there until that cuts. So so that's if I use all 12 holes. Now I could do this so that I could punch some here and then more here, but I really like the look of not having the holes go all the way to the end. And I might even take out an extra hole to make it even shorter. Some people do a little short series of holes there and a short series of holes here. It's whatever you like. I think I will leave it at 12. Okay, so, and I have this set how I need it. Let's double check. I haven't moved that. I haven't. And so the cover is not any smaller than the pages. So every time you put it in, you've got to make sure that it's flush up in there before you pull the handle down. And I will give you a link down below to my video showing how to use the machine. But I always look here as well to make sure I can see all the writing in a straight line. If I can't, then I know that my cover or whatever my page is in there crooked. And it does cut through chipboard, as you can see here. And there's the cover. Now, I'm not particular at this moment about getting all my pages lined up in order. So I'm just going to punch holes, and then, now this one, I don't want a notch being right here, so I'm going to pull out a couple of these. Well, that's not going to work. I have to, there we go. This would work, I think. I know what I'm going to do. Okay, never mind. I'm going to pull out those ones right there. And so this will be lined up with the bottom of the book. I still need another hole right there. I've learned this by trial and error. I have to be able to get this around the ring. So that's another one. Now put these back in. Oh, I did not get that pushed in, so I'm going to do it again. Sometimes what happens is your paper holes get shoved, they're stuck in there, and they stop you from putting your paper all the way back. So now this did correct, but what I can do here is just trim off this very edge, and I still have to glue this together. I'll do that before I punch. I think it's time to empty my tray here. There's a tray in the back that has your, yep, that's what I thought. And when that gets full, it's hard to release the new ones into the bottom of the tray, and then your papers get stuck in there. Now the question is, it's going to get stuck a little bit here. You got to wiggle it around. There. Sometimes I have in the past accidentally punched the holes on the wrong side. So then what I did was I took a piece of cardstock and I wrapped, like if this was the wrong side, I glued the cardstock on, wrapped it around and glued it to that side. And then I punched on the other side to correct my mistake. So now let's work on getting these fixed here. And I'm going to use the Yoohoo glue stick. And I still have my, I didn't change the lining of my little bar here, so I'm still good. Now we're going to keep the cinch out because this is how we actually do our binding. And the next step would be to figure out what size of a binding combs you need. Now I think I'm going to use the 0.75 wires on this. And, oh, maybe not, because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, crud. Okay, let's see if I have one that's all the way. I know I have 1 inches. I have it in pink, but let me look at the cover. No, I don't want to use a pink comb. It'd be okay, but I have black, but it's awfully skinny, and I have a black in the 1 inch and a white in the 1 inch. I think this is a 1. Now, these are an off-brand wire, so if you're searching for bookbinding wires, what you're looking for is a 2-to-1 pitch, and that explains how far apart these coils these are, and so that's what you're going to need. Now, when I'm cutting this down to size, there's rounded spokes here, and there's ones with the square on them here. I'm counting the rounded ones. I need 12 of them because I have 12 holes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I'm going to hold on to that one because that's the last one I'm going to keep. And then I'm going to get my wire cutters out here. So what I need to do is trim. Let me cut this in the back here. I want that one, but on the back, I don't want that little spokey thing sticking out. So I'm going to trim that down and trim out that one there. Oops. There. Now I should have 12 of those. Yes. Okay. And it's important to know which size of these combs you have, and that's the 1 inch. Because on the back, you have to set this to the size of your wires. And so mine's 1. You push and turn. There we go. Okay. Now, using those little square lines, squares, you hook those on the side. There's these little notches right there. We're just going to hang it on there any old place. Okay. This is where I probably want to work on getting my pages in the order that I'm going to put them in the book. So I'm going to slide this over a little bit. So that is how the pages are going to be in my book. Now, the only thing tricky about binding this is that you want to take the back cover and swing it around like this, and that's how you put all these pages in here. So it's back cover, front cover, and all the pages. Okay, now let's move this. So what I do before I actually bind this is I hold this shut really well, and I'm just looking to make sure that I actually got the pages in the right side up, because I have been known to do that where I put all the pages in upside down. So now I have this. I'm going to rotate this around, release the clamp on the handle. Now all we're doing is laying these wires in there so that both sides are touching the flat back wall of my cinch right here. I know you can't see that, so let me hold it sideways and show you what's going on. Can you see that? Both ends are against that wall nice and flush. And then lower the handle. This is why it's important to have that there at the right. Oop, this one didn't get in there, so I'm going to redo it. It got pinched the wrong way. Actually, I think it got bent backwards, so I'm going to have to use pliers to fix this one. Sometimes it happens. Okay, now here's what we have. You see this big gap here between the round wires and the square ends? I'm going to put this back in here one more time and see if that did take care of it a little bit. But the other thing I could do is kind of physically kind of pinch them a little bit, because if you don't have that shut really well, papers can escape. And that's one reason why we put the, let me move the cinch here. That's one reason why we put the covers like we did when we entered it, because now all this ugly stuff is back against the inside back cover. So there is our book. All right, now a few things right off the bat. I know that I need to glue my pockets shut. I had a couple of pockets, and they were right here. This side is held together by the binding, but this side is not. Now, We have this lovely little piece here I think is really cute, and that could go anywhere. The person I'm giving this to, she's not really big on too much as far as like embellishments and decorations and paper clips and all that, but she loves Peter Pan. So I think a minimalist approach to this would probably be more apropos to her style. Now I also have him, and I thought he would be good on one of these blank pages. And I see this was a mark from when it was on sale in the store, I think. Yes, he could go on any of the blank pages. He's kind of floating if I just stick him there. Oh, that one didn't get put in there. So that's what happened when I was loading all my papers. It didn't get entered. So I would have to unbind all of this in order to put that in there. One of the reasons I wanted to put him on white is I did not cut out that area between his arm and the pan flute there. And I thought if I put him on a different color, that would really show through that I didn't do that. Now, I do want to use some of the chipboard pieces of her, even though it would mean adding some thickness to the book. And then there were some other things here, like butterflies, and I don't know what these pieces are here. Best fairy friends, how cute. Little flowers, pixie spirit, you're my wing girl. Aw, okay. Pixie party. You notice the first chipboard I put in the top left, this one I'm putting on the bottom. I want it to balance out the thickness of the journal. Unfortunately, this glue is pretty fast setting, so I still need to cover this up. So let me look and see what I have. I have this gold hearts on washi, and I like it, but it is going to be very see-through. So I think what I'm going to do is put it on paper first. Because otherwise, if I hadn't put that on paper, it would be you would be seeing all this through the washi. So now I'm wondering about something from the book. Like, is there an image here, especially one that goes vertically? That would be great. Dog. I need something. I was thinking of something for the flap here. He's too big. I think since most of these images are going to be too large, he would be great. He's a little too big as well. Might be, that's a good one of her. 2 3/8 by 7 is the biggest. Okay, so I trimmed her down, but I know that because the envelope flap, oh, it's going to work. Okay, I could angle it the same angle as the envelope flap, but I don't think I'm going to. And I'm going to fussy cut this off camera. Alrighty, so we have her. Just need to figure out where to put her. She could be like here, but then her feather was off the side of the page. So she could work there. Always cap your glue sticks. Now it does take a little while. You see how the paper's warped, but it will dry out and flatten up. There was one here about BFF, best fairy friends, and you're my wing girl. I thought I would put that in there somewhere. And the other thing you can do is you could always do washi on the edges of your papers if you have washi that you really love that kind of goes with your theme. You could also just do decorative edging on the sides too. Like I said, my daughter really wouldn't enjoy it that much, but this green here is perfect for her. But I don't like, she's staring off at somebody, so I'm just going to put this one here like she's looking right at you. Okay, so let's call that quits. Let this dry up a sec, and then we'll do a flip through. There you go. And there's the top portion. Now you can always do dangles or ribbons on the wires, and you could add glitter. You can add all sorts of embellishments. You can also do your own paperclip craft, and I might make a paperclip or two out of the flowers. You could also do rubber stamping, and just make sure that you're kind of thinking about the person who's going to be receiving this. And in this case, like I said, low on the embellishments, but it's still a very cute project.